go. So welcome back. It's Graham Smith here with my colleague and friend, Mei Winitana. Today we're going to talk about the second value that underpins the tapatoru, and this one is Manaakitanga. I want to know what it is in plain English and how it's going to help me as a tutor. And then if time allows, it'd be great to hear some stories of what this looks like in action. And then the last thing is a takeaway. What can I do next?
Kia ora everybody, my name is Mei. Welcome back again. The root of the word Manaakitanga is mana, that elusive quality that we all possess in various degrees. So if you consider mana and that elusive quality that we have got, and the tanga at the end, it describes it as a process. So the process of upholding the mana of the people involved in the learning.
The next thing is we've got mana and we've got manaakitanga in it. It's about upholding, maintaining, protecting the mana of our learners. How does this help me as a tutor? I'm working in foundation learning, perhaps I'm a trades tutor. What does that mean for me?
Good question. If you consider and accept and acknowledge that we all have mana, then every interaction we have with our learners and our colleagues is an act of doing just that, upholding the mana of each other, knowing full well that you have mana as the tutor and they have mana as the learners.
I'm just mindful too, with the, yes. Some of us are working in a second chance education space, and sometimes second chance is like third chance as well. Or, we're working with people who the school system perhaps has not served them well. They come into our courses in different states. Some of them are fine, some of them are traumatized, and you've got everything in between. And I know that sometimes their mana has been affected in that process, the education process that they've had. Sometimes it feels like, or it looks like it's been crushed, literally. Diminished,
definitely.
Right. So I'm just mindful of that, and whether you've got any thoughts about that for tutors that are thinking about their students, their akonga or tauira that are in that kind of situation.
Yeah, sure. Personally, I believe that mana has many faces. For those students who are second chance learners, their mana, I think, has been diminished by various experiences at school. For a lot of immigrant learners or second language learners, we have to maneuver our way and manage the mana, help to manage and uplift their mana, because already they are disadvantaged by the fact that they are second language learners or from another culture, or have already had a go at it at school and never got it right. So it's definitely about being aware that each of us has this set of skills and abilities and qualities about us that we need to be mindful of as tutors.
Often we talk about manaaki, don't we? And manaakieing somebody into an organization or into a course. And I remember when I started working for Ako Aotearoa, Dr. Joe Torito was really the face of manaaki and manaakitanga to me, and just really made me feel so welcome when I met him. And before we got down to any business, we ended up sitting together and having a chat in the cafe and having a cup of coffee. And
that's right.
I wasn't even hungry, but he made me eat cake, and there's all sorts of things. And then eventually we did get down to business. But I just remember thinking afterwards, when I was reflecting on what had happened, that was a manaakitanga process, and it made me feel super welcome. I'm just wondering, is there a story or an anecdote or an illustration perhaps that you could talk about?
Well, another meaning of manaakitanga is hospitality, being hospitable. So being hospitable is me being hospitable to you and you reflecting that hospitality back. The thing I've come to realize is that different cultures have different degrees and levels of expressing that hospitality. I have a story to share with you actually, Graham, and I'll share it to the world. In a previous job, I used to take my colleague out. I said, come on, let's go for a coffee. So we'd go to this coffee shop and I would offer to buy her a coffee. Can I buy you a coffee, please? And a cake or whatever. Yes. And now I thought, well, if I model to her what, this kind of behavior, she might offer to buy me one next time. Well, every time we went to the coffee shop, I ended up buying the coffee and the cake. And I was waiting for her to recognize that I was inviting her to reciprocate, and she never did. So by about the fourth time, I decided I would never invite her for coffee again, and we didn't. And unfortunately, I felt she didn't quite learn that lesson.
Okay, so I'm hearing a couple of things here. One is that manaakitanga is something that other people can model. You can model it to people and people can model it to you, and that there's a reciprocal aspect to it. So
It is.
and let's just bring this to the level of foundation education and trades training and things like that. For tutors, perhaps tutors who are starting to think more deeply about some of these values and how they can integrate them and embed them into their training and their work, as their wider work as well. What are a couple of things that we could all do, that people could do tomorrow or as soon as they're out there in the classroom or in the workshop or on the factory floor?
Okay, I guess manaakitanga starts from the very first meeting or the first interaction people had with their students. And the way you manaaki people into the room, into the classroom, the way you greet them, the way you talk with them, the intonation of your voice, all demonstrates that sense of manaakitanga. And I can't stress that enough, actually.
So I guess there's a lot of
that.
non-verbal cue, like if we put it into a different language.
Yes, that definitely.
Some of this goes to body language and the non-verbal cues that perhaps you're not even aware of.
Even as far as working from a table, for a lot of people, sitting behind a table, talking to people, it creates like a physical barrier, and then that physical barrier becomes like a psychological barrier between you and your learners. Just consider the use of placement of your desk in the room, for instance. Would it be in the middle of the room or to the side of the room? And it creates if it's on the side of the room, it creates a space to invite people to share. There's so many nuances of manaakitanga, so many.
We'll wrap this up in a sec, but I'm just thinking for people that are just summing up some of the things that we've talked about, things that you can do, be aware of your body language and the non-verbal cues that you're giving off. Perhaps having a colleague observe you, because sometimes there are things that you do that you're not aware of. Seeing yourself on video is another helpful way to do it. And just think about the barriers that you have placed, whether deliberately or inadvertently, between yourself and your learners, and think about how you can change the environment to make it feel more open. Sure. Awesome. All righty. Well, let's leave it there. That's enough for today. Kia ora, Mei. Thanks very much again.
Sure is. You're welcome.